Do we have any public speakers for bridges and tunnels? Okay. Okay. Mr. Bowden, your show. Mr. Bowden.
Good morning. I take this opportunity to thank the staff of Bridges and Tunnels. I've made suggestions and they've been looked at. Some of them have been implemented, and it is my pleasure to be here and thank the people on your staff for doing a good job. They've listened. They've made significant changes that were very difficult to do, but they were. And it increased safety and made the roads safer. So my thanks to the staff, and I look forward to the leadership of the operating staff who've shown great initiative and insight into dealing with safety problems. And I take this opportunity to thank them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Okay, we have minutes in everyone's packet. Do we have any questions or changes? We have a motion? A second? That was a second, Polly? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay, turning the meeting over.
Okay, no changes in the work plan. We'll move on to the report of operations. Pat Parisi.
The report on operations begins on page 17. Traffic was higher in October with 26.2 million crossings as compared with 25.2 million crossings in October 2014, representing a 4.1% increase. Average gas prices continued down at $2.29 per gallon, $1.07 less than the same period last year. Rainfall amounts of 3.4 inches over 7 days during October 2015 versus 3.9 over 9 days in October 2014. Easy Pass volume increased by 5.4% in October 2015 as compared to October 14, while crossings using cash and other payment methods declined 3.4% for the month. Passenger car travel was up 4.5%, and other vehicle travel declined 0.8% from October 14. Preliminary monthly traffic figures for November 2015 are 5.9% more than the same period in 14. Thanksgiving traffic Wednesday through Sunday was up 8.3% from 2014. Wednesday getaway day was up 20% from 2014, which may be attributable to the rain-snow mix on that day in 2014. That ends the report on operations.
Okay, move on to the safety report. If there's no questions, Jim Foley.
Beginning on page 31 through page 32, charts and graphs showing the 5-year summary of employee accident reports, lost time injuries, customer collisions, injury collisions, and the contractor injuries for the period January 1 through end October 2015. For the first 10 months in the year, the number of employee accident reports has decreased 18.1%, and the lost time injury rate has decreased 29.9%. During the same period, the total customer collision rate has increased 4.9%, and the injury collision rate has increased 1.1%. Contractor lost time injury rate has increased 27.8%. Please review these reports. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thanks. Move on to the financial, or rather the Easy Pass report, which begins on page 33. The market share for October was 86%, a little higher than 86%, 1 percentage point higher than the year before. For the first time ever, all facilities were above 80% on an average weekday. The RFK Bronx hit 80.4% in October, which it's never done before. So that's good news, obviously. More than 19,000 Easy Pass accounts were opened in October. 9,000 of them on-the-go accounts, about 47% of the total. And we're up to 660,000 tags sold in the lane since the program began, and that, of course, we think is helping to increase the market share at the RFK Bronx, among other facilities. If there's no questions on the Easy Pass report, I'll move on to the financial report, which begins on page 39. Toll revenue through October was more than $1.502 billion, which is $22.5 million, 1.5% better than planned. Traffic was up about 1.4% against the budget, 2% in October alone. Preliminary November is also looking good. Revenues up about $5.6 million, it looks like, and about 3.8% against the budget. About 900,000 vehicles as well, 4% better than planned. Pat mentioned the year-to-year increases about 4% in October. It looks like about just under 6% in November from preliminary numbers. Total expenses were about $356 million through October, about $39 million, just under 10% better than planned. Non-labor, about 11.5% lower than planned, $19 million. And labor, about $20 million, 8.8%, primarily due to payroll vacancies. Overtime is down 11.9% against plan, about $2.6 million. And our support to mass transit through October was $976 million, which is $96 million and 10.9% better than planned. If there's no questions on the October report, I'll move on to the 2016 budget and financial plan, which begins on page 55. I won't go through the whole staff summary, but just to give you some highlights. Toll revenues projected at approximately $1.792 billion in 2015. Total non-reimbursable expenses are projected at about $492.4 million. That's made up of $241 million in non-labor costs and about $251.4 in labor. Our support to mass transit is projected in 2015 at $1.037 billion. In 2016, our toll revenue is projected at about $1.809 billion. Non-reimbursable expenses about $509.5 million. Non-labor, $244.2, and non-reimbursable labor costs about $265.3 in 2016. Debt service, $250.8 million we project in 2015, going up to $281.5 in 2016. And support to mass transit in 2016 should be just around $1 billion that's what we're projecting in the November plan. The staff summary also highlights some initiatives that we've been undertaking, the Easy Pass initiatives, of course. We also note AET at the Henry Hudson and the expansion to the Rockaways that we plan for next year, and of course Enterprise Asset Management, which you've been hearing about. And finally, although the staff summary does not reference it, I just want to note that the November forecast projects total expenses for 2015 that are about $18.7 million lower than the mid-year forecast. And in 2016, expenses are projected at about $4 million lower than what we were projecting in the July plan. And on the revenue side, as we did in the July plan, we're rebaselining our forecast based on the very favorable traffic that we've been seeing. We've increased our 2015 toll revenue projection by about $23.5 million in this November plan versus July, and $17.6 million against the July plan for 2016, with similar increases in the out years. And of course, that's on top of what we did in July when we upped our revenue forecast by over $50 million versus the adopted. So that concludes my summary of the financial plan. If there's any questions, happy to answer them. Otherwise, we can move on to an action item on toll violation and enforcement that Peg Terry has.
Good afternoon. In today's action item, we are asking the committee to recommend that the board authorize us to begin the legal process to revise our toll violation enforcement regulations to add procedural protections for alleged toll violators. The staff summary and resolution appear in the committee book at pages 67 to 72. Prior to the 2011 all-electronic tolling pilot at the Henry Hudson Bridge, the board adopted a regulation imposing a $50 violation fee on owners who commit toll violations by using invalid Easy Pass tags or failing to pay their tolls by mail invoices. Now we are proposing to revise our toll violation enforcement regulations in conjunction with the regulations being adopted by the New York State Department of Motor Vehicles to suspend vehicle registrations for violators who fail to pay their tolls and violation fees or have them dismissed or transferred in response to notices of violation for 5 toll violations within 18 months. Because violation enforcement procedures are most effective when they are both fair and predictable, the regulations make it clear that owners have an opportunity to dispute or transfer their tolls before being subject to the $50 violation fee, or if persistent violators, having their vehicle registration suspended by the DMV. We ask that the committee approve this action item.
Okay, any discussion?
Are we doing this because our success in collections has not been that great, or another reason?
We're actually breaking even at the Henry Hudson, but the Henry Hudson is a unique facility. It's got a very high Easy Pass penetration, it's got no commercial vehicles, and it has a low toll. So that, as you know, we're expanding it to the Rockaways, which has significantly more commercial traffic, still low tolls. But this way, we can check to ensure that commercial vehicles pay their toll-by-mails invoices at a sufficient rate to make sense for us to have all electronic tolling at those kinds of facilities.
Are we doing both Marine Parkway and Cross Bay?
Yes.
Yes.
And when do we expect to have those in place?
This second half of next year.
And this law would apply to all electronic tolling locations?
Yes, it would.
It actually applies to all Easy Pass violations as well, but we have gates at the other facilities. That's not true for like the Thruway and the Port Authority, and they'll be taking advantage of this.
How easy is it to clear up one of these violations?
You can dispute it initially with the customer service center, and and you can clear it up immediately by paying it. But if you intend to challenge it, if you're not happy with the service center's determination, under our regulations, you'll have a right to appeal it to us, and then we'll have a more thorough review. This will give us an opportunity to cure any mistakes inadvertently made by the customer service center.
Okay, one of the things I was particularly interested in is DMV is now going to suspend, as you said, the registration of people 5 over 18 months.
Right.
Will they be able to clear it easily? They're going to go to motor vehicle. Motor vehicle is going to say your license, it's been okay. You got to clear this up.
It's the registration, not the license.
Yes,
But
the
they come to us to clear it up, and then we send a release to DMV.
Can they do that online?
They will be able to do that online, yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? Great. Yes. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Inadvertently, we also need to vote on the budget. I'm sorry, I forgot to, so. Yeah, thanks.
Discussion? Less money for mass transit?
All right.
More money for mass transit? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
All right, move on to the capital program status report. Joe Keane.
Good afternoon. The report on the capital program begins on page 74. In November, there were 9 commitments made with a total value of $24.9 million. Since this report was completed, several additional major commitments have been made in connection with rehabilitation work at the Marine Parkway Bridge in the amount of $77.6 million. Including these recent commitments, we have committed $409.2 million, or 99% of our 2015 annual commitment plan of $412.9 million. In November, there was 1 project completion for main cable and lighting work at the Bronx Whitestone Bridge with a value of $12.5 million. And year-to-date, we have completed 11 projects with a total value of $214.8 million. This represents 103% of the 2015 annual plan of completions of $208.5 million. There were 8 task-level closeouts in November in the amount of $18.5 million. This brings our year-to-date closeout amount to 71 closeouts with a total value of $169.8 million. Unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Procurements, Gavin.
Good afternoon. Procurements start on page 87. There are no non-competitive procurements or ratifications. There are 3 competitive procurements. 2 are for the awards of personal service contracts, one of which is a discretionary procurement for a training program providing employee right-to-know classes. The other is for a design service for the rehabilitation of the anchorages and of the tower pedestals at the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. And these two are in the total amount of $2,990,308.29. There was one procurement modification to a personal service contract that adds funds for commercial driver training courses for our bridge and tunnel employees, and that's in the amount of $40,162.50. These all total $3,030,470.79. Unless there are any questions, these procurements are detailed in enclosed staff summaries.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, the final item is the diversity report. Sean Moore.
Good afternoon. The MTA Bridges and Tunnel Diversity Report third quarter begins on page 95. MTA Bridges and Tunnel 2015 workforce composition experienced significant gains between July 1st through September 30th, 2015. MTA Bridges and Tunnel onboarded 49 new hires, 24% were females, 59% were minorities. MTA Bridges and Tunnel continues to address underrepresentation of females in the officials and administrators category and Hispanics in the administrative support and service maintenance through its talent management, strategic recruitment initiatives, and ongoing outreach efforts. Bridges and Tunnel EEO caseload is a total of 18 EEO complaints, 12 active internal complaints, and 6 active external complaints. There are no reported Title VI complaints at this time, and that concludes my report, unless there are any questions.
Any questions? Okay.
That concludes our agenda.
All right, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, just mention that Mr. Spiro has served us ably and well. I would note in particular that there's been more money from mass transit, the greatest surpluses that have occurred under his tenure. That
We salute him then.
okay, that there would be no toll increases, and and that gas prices continue to go down month by month. So we are very thankful for his leadership.
You're very easy on him, Alan.
Right.
Very easy.
Tough
The
part.
condition.
Better weather.
And the weather's been terrific
All
this
right.
month. So
Tough
thank
bar-
you, Mr. Spiro.
Thank you. Tough bar for Jim.
What a record of achievement.
Unbelievable. It is amazing. Appreciate their kind words.
Can we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay. Second, all in favor? All right. That concludes Bridges and Tunnels this afternoon. Thank you.